Lawmakers in Tennessee began hearings today on a total ban on abortions. If passed, the new law would become one of the most restrictive laws in the United States. Earlier this year, legislators tried to pass a so-called fetal heartbeat bill, which would have banned the procedure after a heartbeat is detected. However, that bill was amended by lawmakers late in the legislative session. The new proposed legislation will now ban abortions after a woman knows she is pregnant. Let's bring in CBS News reporter Kate Smith. She is in Nashville, Tennessee, and was at today's hearing. Kate, thanks very much for being with us. Why are state lawmakers trying to pass this legislation now?
Good evening, Elaine. So state lawmakers are actually they're in summer study. Now, what that is a special legislative session, so to speak, where they review some of the bills that weren't successful from the spring. One of those bills that wasn't successful, of course, was the fetal heartbeat ban. Now, that would have effectively ended abortion, legal abortion in this state after about 6 weeks. Now, why that didn't actually happen, though, is because lawmakers say it didn't go far enough. They are looking to something that would be able to go against the Supreme Court. So now today what you saw were lawmakers pushing for a total ban on abortion. That is an amended version of the fetal heartbeat bill and something that we could see probably very easily passed in this state capitol.
So could you just elaborate for us, how exactly are these two bills different?
Sure. So they're actually just an amended version of the bill that was introduced earlier this year. And what's so different about these amendments is instead of having a ban on the procedure after 6 weeks, it would completely cut off any access to the procedure in its entirety. So the way the bill reads is that once those hormones, you can detect the hormones that you're pregnant, so you think of like a drugstore pregnancy test. Once one of those can detect that you're pregnant, you can't get an abortion anymore in the state. Now, what they're doing is they're kind of looking to the 9th Amendment of the Constitution for kind of the legal framework, and what that means is that they're leaning on what they call common law. The idea is that they believe it should be assumed that abortion is illegal. In their view, it is the killing of an innocent life. But of course, on the other side, you have people who are saying, this isn't life, this is a clump of cells, you don't even call it, a fetus at this point, it's an embryo. And, they're saying common law really doesn't apply in this scenario because it is not a life.
Well, walk us through the arguments lawmakers heard in today's testimony.
So the way today went down is they heard 5 testimonies from different people. Now, the idea was that they were supposed to hear a little bit more about what these amendments were, how it would impact. But what you ended up seeing were 5 testimonies that were cherry-picked by the head of the Judiciary Committee, and they were 5 white men that all supported the bill. So you didn't really get a lot of debate about what was going on in the bill. It was a lot of cheering it on, what it can do, that it's the right thing to do. It was very one-sided, and it was all about, if you believe that there is life at conception, then it should be common law that abortion should be illegal. And like I mentioned, that is a completely new legal way of thinking about abortion. And that's why really today and tomorrow are going to be so significant, because you see lawmakers, looking at different Supreme Court decisions about abortion. They're looking about what works, what doesn't. And they're seeing that this could actually be a step hole into, what perhaps justices are saying there could be a little bit of wiggle room.
Right. And Kate, I know you've reported on this extensively. There are several other states that have passed legislation restricting abortions this year. What is motivating those bills?
So that's a really interesting question. I think there can be 2 different answers to that. The first, of course, is the ideology that you see on the Supreme Court. The appointment of Brett Kavanaugh is a huge flag to the anti-abortion activist side, that there could be an opening to overturn or at least chip away at Roe v. Wade and at least put it back to the states. The second thing, and it's something I heard today in the hearing that I found really interesting, was the idea of the New York Reproductive Health Act. And what we heard today, and I have heard this in other states, but not as hard as it was hit today, was that people who are anti-abortion activists, they heard that, and it was kind of a wake-up call, right? You have states that are really, instead of, leaning away from abortion, they're leaning in. They're trying to make sure that women have access to safe, legal abortion in their home states. And not even in their home states, like, close to them and local, and really thinking of it as health care. And what we heard today were people talking about that and saying how, shocking it was to hear a state passing a law like that, and it was something of a call to arms. So I think it's one of those 2 things. It's the idea of the Supreme Court makeup, and then it's also, just seeing what's going on the other side has really been a call to arms for these anti-abortion activists.
All right, Kate Smith reporting from Nashville, Tennessee for us. Kate, thank you very much.
Thank you.